Stop blaming and start healing. The uncomfortable truth about who really keeps your wounds alive. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I want to talk to you about something we do not say out loud enough, something that makes us squirm in our seats, something that challenges every victim narrative we have been clinging to because it felt safer than the truth. I recently sat down with Zipporah Phillips, a woman whose courage to confront generational trauma, hold herself accountable, and choose healing over blame is not just changing her own life, it is reshaping the conversation around mental health, family patterns, and what it really means to break cycles. Zipporah is not just surviving, she is actively dismantling the scripts that kept her bound. And in doing so, she is making the world a better place, one brutally honest conversation at a time. She is proof that when you stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror, everything changes. Your relationships change, your peace changes, your legacy changes. And what she shared with me, what we are going to unpack together today, is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about healing, accountability, and who is really responsible for breaking the cycle. Here is the truth we do not talk about enough. We love to point fingers. We love to say, he hurt me. They abandoned me. The system failed me. My mother was cold. My father was absent. My partner was toxic. And listen, all of that can be true. I am not here to minimize your pain. I am not here to tell you that what happened to you did not matter. It did. It shaped you. It scarred you. It changed the trajectory of your life. But here is the part that makes us uncomfortable, the part we avoid because it requires us to take our power back. What if the person keeping the wound alive is you? What if the cycle continues not because someone else refuses to change, but because you refuse to heal? Let that sit for a moment. Zipporah Phillips brought this to light in a way that stopped me in my tracks. She said the real conversation is not just about what men have done to women. It is also about how women, family systems, and unresolved trauma can keep those same wounds alive if nobody is willing to be accountable. Generational trauma can pass through parenting styles, emotional distance, and learned behavior. So healing has to start with recognizing the pattern instead of just blaming the last person who hurt you. Think about that. How many of us are still angry at our mothers for how they raised us, but we are repeating the exact same patterns with our own children? How many of us are still hurt by our fathers for being emotionally unavailable, but we are choosing emotionally unavailable partners over and over again? How many of us are still carrying sibling rivalry, childhood neglect, relational betrayal, and we are letting it poison every new connection we try to build? We have been conditioned to believe that healing happens when someone else apologizes, when someone else changes, when someone else finally sees what they did. But what if healing starts when you stop waiting for that apology and start asking yourself, what am I repeating? What am I tolerating? What am I passing on? This is not about letting anyone off the hook. This is about taking your power back. Zipporah shared something deeply personal during our conversation. She said that carrying childhood trauma, father wounds, relationship pain, and sibling issues into adulthood is proof that unhealed pain does not disappear with age. At 49, the lesson is clear. If you do not deal with the root, you keep reliving the same cycles in your relationships, your peace, and your spiritual life. 49 years old and still wrestling with the same wounds, still carrying the same weight, still replaying the same patterns. That is not failure. That is honesty. And honesty is the first step toward freedom. Because here's what nobody tells you: time does not heal wounds, time just gives you more opportunities to repeat them. You can be 25 or 55, and if you have not done the work, you are still operating from the same broken blueprint. You are still reacting from the same unhealed place. You are still building your life on a foundation that was cracked before you even knew what a foundation was. And that is why this conversation matters. That is why Zipporah's work matters. That is why we have to stop being so afraid of accountability and start embracing it as the pathway to freedom. So let's talk about what it takes to break the cycle. Let's talk about the three things Zipporah Phillips wants every woman to know. First, accountability starts with us. Women have to stop only pointing at men and start asking what patterns we are tolerating, repeating, or passing on. This is hard. This is uncomfortable because it means looking in the mirror and admitting that maybe, just maybe, you are part of the problem. Not because you are bad, but because you are human. And humans repeat what they do not repair. You cannot heal what you will not name. You cannot change what you refuse to see. And you cannot break a cycle you keep defending. Second, healing is a responsibility, not a luxury. Recognizing trauma, asking for help, and building healthy support systems are part of breaking the cycle. You do not get to say, I will deal with it later. Later becomes never, and never becomes the inheritance you leave behind. Your children are watching. Your partner is feeling it. Your friends are carrying the weight of your unhealed wounds because you keep projecting them onto everyone around you. And until you take responsibility for your healing, you are going to keep hurting the people you love most. Third, self love and mental health change everything. When you heal, you protect your relationships, improve your emotional stability, and create room for healthier connection in life and work. This is not selfish. This is sacred. This is the most generous thing you can do for the people in your life. Because when you are whole, you stop bleeding on everyone who did not cut you. Now, let me show you what this looks like in real life. There is a physician and pediatrician named Dr. Candace Jones who has been working with families for years, and she has seen the same story play out over and over again. Trauma gets normalized inside families. Parenting patterns, emotional distance, abuse, it all gets repeated without being named. And the children grow up thinking that is just how life is. That is just how love looks. That is just how you survive. But Dr. Jones said no. She said there is a better way. She developed what she calls the three R's: recognize the symptoms, build resilience through healthy support systems, and restore the brain and body through healing practices. This is not theory. This is a practical framework for interrupting generational trauma instead of letting it shape the next generation by default. And the impact: families are changing, children are being protected, relationships are being restored because someone decided to name the pattern and do something about it. Here is another powerful example. The National Association of Social Workers Press published a book called Healing the Helping Professional. It is part self help, part memoir, and it explores how unresolved childhood trauma can affect professional roles in social work. The central challenge is that unresolved trauma does not stay private. It can shape how people show up in their jobs, relationships, and decision making. Think about that. You can be the most educated, the most accomplished, the most respected person in the room and still be operating from a wound you have not healed. And that wound will show up. It will show up in how you lead. It will show up in how you love. It will show up in how you serve. The book uses evidence based healing approaches and personal reflection to help professionals understand and address the impact of childhood trauma. The outcome is greater awareness that healing is necessary not only for personal peace, but also for professional effectiveness and healthy service to others. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup and you cannot lead from an unhealed wound. And then there is the work being done by the Black Mental Health Summit and Black Men Heal. These organizations are addressing the reality that generational trauma, systemic racism, and toxic masculinity can silence emotional struggle while also encouraging Black men to seek support. The challenge is that Black communities often face stigma around mental health, and men in particular are less likely to seek care even while experiencing PTSD, depression, and anxiety. But these organizations are creating platforms that normalize mental health conversations and encourage people to seek support instead of suffering in silence. They are promoting wellness events, open dialogue, and mental health support as a way to break silence and build healthier coping patterns. The outcome is increased visibility for mental health care and more space for honest conversations about pain, healing, and resilience in Black communities. This is cultural change. This is generational change. This is the kind of work that saves lives. So here's what I want you to understand: healing is not just about feeling better, healing is about breaking the cycle. Healing is about protecting the next generation. Healing is about creating a legacy of peace instead of pain. And it starts with you. It starts with you being willing to say, I am not just a victim of what happened to me. I am also responsible for what I do with it. It starts with you being willing to ask for help, to go to therapy, to build a support system, to do the hard work of recognizing the pattern and choosing something different. Because here is the truth: if you keep blaming everybody else, when do you choose to heal the part of you that keeps attracting the same pain? Be honest. What pattern in your life needs accountability, healing, and prayer right now so you do not pass it on to the next generation? This is not about shame. This is about freedom. This is about choosing softness over survival. This is about choosing healing over hustle. This is about choosing yourself, not out of selfishness, but out of reverence for the life you were meant to live and the legacy you were meant to leave. Zipporah Phillips is doing this work. Dr. Candace Jones is doing this work. The Black Mental Health Summit is doing this work. And now it is your turn. So I want to leave you with this: healing is not for the person who hurt you. Healing is for you, so you can have a closer relationship with God, with yourself, with the people you love, and with the life you are meant to live. Stop waiting for someone else to change. Stop waiting for someone else to apologize. Stop waiting for someone else to see what they did. Start recognizing the pattern. Start building resilience. Start restoring your mind, your body, your spirit, because the cycle stops with you. And the freedom you create will echo through generations. The question is not whether you have been hurt. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep replaying the same story, or are you going to write a new one? Are you going to keep passing down the pain, or are you going to be the one who breaks the chain? This is your moment. This is your choice. This is your soft girl era. Choose healing, choose accountability, choose yourself, and watch everything change.